Historic buildings and properties are the cornerstone of Clark County heritage and culture. They are the legacy of the spirited settlers and residents who shaped the history of the region. Recently, we spoke with Jacqueline Camp from Clark County Community Planning and Andrew Gregg, chair of the Clark County Historic Preservation Commission, to learn how historic sites are selected and review some of the current protected properties.
Hello, I'm Jim Demmer with Clark County Close-Up. Thank you both for meeting with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
First, why is it important to protect historic sites?
Well, in your introduction, you mentioned that historic buildings are the cornerstones of Clark County's heritage and culture, and they're a reflection of the people who have gone before us. And so many of our residents are from someplace else, that a lot of folks in Clark County area don't have that sense of place that historians talk about. For instance, if we were in a southern state, every possible Civil War commemorative site would have a flag or a kiosk for folks to look at. And we don't have that kind of thing here in our neck of the woods. And so our commission hopes to show off to good advantage different places and monuments and buildings so that folks have a sense of how those older buildings fit into our modern world with a sense of relevance and functionality, even though they may be repurposed or not in the same role that they had when they were first designed.
And you mentioned it can be more than just a building, for example.
It can. In fact, there would be elements such as cemeteries. We have several cemeteries that are on the registry, monuments, other kinds of prominent places that important things took place. And so there would be monuments, areas, properties, buildings, I think would be just about the list.
Okay, and let's talk about the historic program. It's assist this commission? What's the role of the program?
Well, the commission's role is to identify these historic buildings and places and to encourage their owners to protect those properties by putting them on the Clark County Historic Registry. Then the commission provides advice to those applicants at no cost and to help them along the way to getting their proposed properties and buildings placed on the historic registry. In addition to that, our role is to support and manage and provide stewardship for the already listed buildings and properties, as well as to assist the owners when timely maintenance issues come up, where to find matching tiles or where to find matching roofing materials or paint colors. And so we try to help them and assist them and be there as a service as opposed to an obstacle to getting one's property on the registry.
How many members are on the board?
Right now we have 5 members, and generally they reflect professions or other specialties that support this work. Currently we have 2 architects, Joe Pinzone and Steve Kaiser. We have an archaeologist, Dr. Doug Wilson, from the Fort Vancouver Historic Reserve. We have David Fenton, who's the former curator of the Clark Historic Museum, and then I'm on the commission as the historian.
And how often does the commission meet?
We meet once a month, and generally it's on the first Tuesday of each month on Officers Row at O.O. Howard House at 6 in the evening, and everybody's welcome to attend.
Okay. Now, is this a joint partnership?
It is. In fact, although it's listed as Clark County Historic Preservation Commission, we do enjoy a sponsorship and partnership with the City of Vancouver.
Okay. Now, how are the properties selected?
The properties aren't really selected in that sense, that building and property owners are encouraged to apply for registry. And rather than erecting obstacles or difficulties to having one's property or site listed, we want to provide help and encourage folks to get that done. Doesn't seem there's any reward in making people go through an arduous process only to have their aspirations shot down in a meeting. That we want to make sure that by the time an application is complete, that the proposal will be approved and that we increase our list of happy registrants.
What are some of the minimum requirements?
Primarily, if you have a property, and this is especially true of buildings and monuments, that are at least 50 years old, or that they have some specific, and in addition to being 50 years old, have a specific historic significance, or also some archaeological interest. Those are the kind of places that go on. Typically, they are standalone buildings that one wouldn't think would be worthy of preservation, and by that I mean everything from hen houses to outhouses to barns to other kinds of agricultural related buildings, to industrial applications such as grist mills or commercial stores. And then another great resource we have are folks who have put their own homes on the registry so that the historic houses in the older neighborhoods and newer neighborhoods where the house may have been the farmstead or may have been the only house in the area, that even though now it may be surrounded by newer homes in a neighborhood, that you've seen older homes that are clearly ruling that area in terms of seniority.
And how many properties currently are in the program?
Right now there are 60 properties on the Clark County Historic Registry, and then there are 24 additional ones that qualify for the state or the U.S. National Registry.
Okay. Now, in researching for this interview, I looked at the Historic Preservation website on the county's website, clark.wa.gov, and it was fascinating. When you get to your site, you can look at all the different historic sites, click on pictures, get the history of each site, where they're located, all those things. It's a wonderful site, so I really encourage viewers to look at that. But so we can get a few samplings, I'd like to go through a little list of some sites that you pre-selected, and we'll be showing some video. So Jackie, take us through some of the selected sites.
I tried to pick those that residents and visitors can visit this summer, actual places where you can go rather than just be able to drive by and see. So the first one I kind of wanted to talk about was one that's not on the registry yet, but is in the process of getting there. It's the 78th Street Heritage Farm, which was formerly the Clark County Poor Farm. This one is a historical significant site here in Clark County and dates back to 1873 when a local settler, William Reese Anderson, deeded the county 100 acres, settling a $400 county judgment against him. So this property became the Poor Farm and provided relief to the poor and also to provide food for the local hospitals at the time. There's also a approximately 200-person cemetery, and where many of the residents of the Poor Farm are buried. This summer and the rest of the year we are working on an interpretive plan, and I just wanted to mention we're trying to find information and stories about the people that lived and worked on the farm. And if anyone has any information, if they could just contact me at the Clark County Community Planning Historic Preservation Program, and feel free to share with us what you might have or know of. Another site is in Amboy, and it's the Amboy United Brethren Church. This church, the old post office, and the schoolhouse was previously the center of town of Amboy. The church served many community purposes, including social gatherings and school plays. It is now home to the North Clark Historical Museum, which is open to the public. The next site is the Cedar Creek Grist Mill. This was in the late 1800s and early 1900s, a mill that provided an important service for farmers and merchants. The mill continues to operate today, and visitors can watch the milling operation and purchase flour. The grist mill is one of only 2 remaining grist mills in the state of Washington. The fourth site is Parkersville, or Parker's Landing, and this is in East County. In 1850, an early settler, David Parker, took a donation land claim on property just downstream of today's Washougal. Parker constructed a dock, which he called Parker's Landing. In 1854, he platted out the town of Parkersville, which consisted of a couple stores, a hotel, bar, and house. Some say this was the first town platted in the state of Washington. The park is now open to the public to enjoy this beautiful site. Another site is the Pomeroy Living History Farm, and this is in Yakult. A family-owned farm since 1910, the farm utilizes 60 of its 677 acres for the historical farm. The owners are the ones that built this site, Irwin Charles Pomeroy and his family moved into the Lucia Valley and established a working farm at a time when the only major activity was logging and sawmill operations. And this also site is open to the public to visit. The next site is the Carnegie Library here in the city of Vancouver, downtown. This building housed the Vancouver Library for nearly 50 years. Steel and iron magnate Andrew Carnegie built over 1,000 libraries such as this one. It is currently the home of the Clark County Historical Museum.
So if people want to go a little summer tour, this would be a great opportunity to take a look.
Let's not forget my beloved Kiggins Theater. That an icon on Main Street, the Kiggins Theater has been dark for the last year, but developer Bill Lee and a whole army, literally, of wonderful volunteers are renovating the Kiggins so that it will be once again a venue for movies. It'll be a venue for live productions. It will also be a place where folks can get something to eat or drink beyond the concession stand. And the Clark County Historical Preservation Commission hopes to have a project that will take place at the theater, that it will be a workshop for folks who are interested in getting their historic properties listed. And so I think more information on that could be received from our website.
Okay. So we've got a few minutes left. Let's talk about how can someone nominate their property?
Sure, we try to make it as easy as possible. There's a nomination form that an applicant submits that includes historical information about the property and its early owners, a description of the architectural features, new and old photographs, and any other documentation they can provide that shows the historical significance. And staff really works with the applicant to help with this process and gather all the information. Once that's complete, the Historic Commission receives that application nomination, visits the site, and then deliberates at a public hearing where they approve the nomination.
Now there can be more than just, so you could be a Clark County registered site, but you also could be a state site. And
correct. You can nominate your property to the National Register of Historic Places and the Washington Heritage Register. And those two registers are administered by the Washington Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation.
Okay. Now, what are some incentives to get property owners to list their property? Let's talk about those.
Sure. We have two incentive programs that are for historic property owners. The first one is called the Current Use Program, and that reduces the tax assessment of the underlying land of the structure. So it's a great benefit that way. The second incentive program is special valuation, and that's for property owners who make a substantial rehabilitation to their structure. And the special valuation is a subtraction of the cost of the repairs to the assessment for up to 10 years. Oh. So it's to encourage that rehabilitation and restoration.
So, and then let's talk just a little bit about, I'm assuming there would be then restrictions to the types of improvements you can make?
Correct. So any site listed on the local register, if there's any proposed changes, has to be reviewed by the Historic Preservation Commission. It's called the design review process. So those repairs that are going forward for special evaluation need to be approved by the commission in order to be qualified.
Okay. Now, where can people find more information about the Historic Preservation Program?
Well, they can contact the staff, just me at Clark County Community Planning. My phone number is 360-397-2280, extension 4913, or please visit our website, and you can just go to www.clark.wa.gov and look under Historic Preservation.
Well, thank you both for attending.
Thanks
Thank you.
so much.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.